Traveling from the sky and bringing love across all continents, we are here to explore this important port of the South China Maritime Silk Road. As one of the 4 famous ancient towns in China, Foshan has always been an important source of goods on the Silk Road. In fact, the origin of the ancient maritime Silk Road is even earlier than the land Silk Road. Due to the difficulties of inland transportation at the time, people had been actively developing maritime trade. Starting from the southeast coast, the route went through the South China Sea and the Strait of Malacca, crossed the Indian Ocean, and entered the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea, reaching as far as Western Asia and the east coast of Africa. Other than trade, the Maritime Silk Road was also an important route for cultural communication. People in Foshan are very open-minded. They're willing to absorb cultures from all over the world. At the same time, their own characteristics are not lost. The place has always been well known for its food. The fishermen are very busy in the early morning. It rained heavily overnight. They have to wait until the early morning to start collecting and laying nets. They raise the fish so that they can be sold at the fish stalls in markets. The fish ponds are rented out at regular intervals. Therefore, every harvest is of great importance. As a fertile land with abundant fish and rice since ancient times, Shunda abounds with freshwater pond fish. Fish farming in dike ponds is one of the features of the Pearl River Delta. There are many low-lying areas in this region where water tends to accumulate in case of heavy rains. People here were clever to turn the low-lying areas into ponds to raise fish, such as grass carp, tilapia, dace, and more. With numerous nets woven into water, big fish are splashing and glistening. The quality of the water in the ponds, the feedstuff, the unique climate, the environment in the Pearl River Delta, and the quality of soil determine the great taste of fish. People in Shunda are very aware of this. Today's harvest is relatively rich. The fishermen are finally relieved. Locals have more than 200 ways to cook the fish. These farmed pond fish will also be exported, of which 90% will go to Hong Kong and Macau. When it comes to the most fresh-tasting dish, there is one local Shunda dish that comes to mind which will challenge any chef. It is a cold dish, and also the first dish of a meal, Shunda sashimi.
Generally speaking, if people are particular about the dish, they will choose the grass carp. Grass carp of 1.5 to 2 kilos is standard. This is because most people in Shunda eat grass carp during the hot season. The requirements to prepare the sashimi are very strict. The knife and chopping block must meet the necessary standards. The ingredients have to adhere to these requirements because they are eaten raw.
To make the fish tasty and refreshing, the fish must be kept in a mountain spring for a few days, which helps get rid of sand and reduce the fat content, and enables chefs to observe whether the fish is up to par or not. With concentration and outstanding knife skills, chefs will remove the red part very carefully after filleting, and finally they can get this precious slice of fish.
We mainly use the mulberry knife to cut the fish. The chef must be very familiar with the mulberry knife. Chefs like us who specialize in sashimi preparation need years of experience to be precise in every cut. Chefs in Shunda have great knife skills. We will check if the fish is qualified after killing it. A fish slice must be like a cicada's wings. An ideal slice will be crystal clear. No blood should seep out when eaten.
As thin as a cicada's wing and with a crystal clear appearance, the slices of fish are laid on the ice to keep cool. The sweetness of this freshwater fish spreads on the tongue the moment it enters the mouth. The cold taste makes it stay refreshing after chewing. Over 10 kinds of ingredients and side dishes accentuate the flavor of the sashimi. People just can't stop eating it. The locals in Foshan love food, and they eat all kinds of food. Wandering on the street, you can't even tell which dish is their favorite. No matter what, Food from the river is one of the favorites in Shunda. Local people often cook with freshwater fish. They have developed various dishes using their excellent cooking skills, and these dishes have become famous worldwide.
It is actually a traditional dish in our hometown. This cuisine has existed since our childhood. It belongs to the Madzia cuisine. This dish is traditionally made by hand. The most unique skill is peeling the fish skin. Perfectly removing the fish skin requires the chef to be experienced and have a good knowledge of the dace fish. After peeling, we need to remove the bones because the dace has many bones. Then we need to chop the fish into fish puree and put it back to the fish body. The process is not difficult. The most difficult step is peeling.
Peel off the skin and take out the fish meat. After the meat is separated from the skin successfully, it is then chopped into pieces to turn it into a fish mince. This dish is a test to the chef's delicate knife skills and patience. Even if the process is complicated and takes a lot of time, people in Shunda still love this dish. After chopping, add some pepper, salt, and cornstarch and stir together. Then rub the fish until it starts to gel. The chef says there are several versions of the origins of the dish. In general, it is a dish created by considerate chefs who want to offer a great flavor to fish lovers and relieve the troubles of being choked by fishbone by removing fishbone. He himself is influenced by this kind of spirit and wishes to keep the traditional method of cooking the dish. After the mince is prepared, other ingredients can be added. Since there are various kinds of ingredients and they have different cooking times, the chef needs to first cook the chopped ingredients and add the oil into fish mince and ingredients for flavor. Then they are mixed together. If there's no record of the recipe of the dish, it can only be passed down orally. In this process, it is people's persistence to inherit the craft that matters. For people in Shunda, this hometown dish tastes like a memory. After finishing the filling, sprinkle with cornstarch and spread out the fish skin. Gradually use your hands to put the filling back on the fish skin little by little and wrap it up carefully till the fish belly bulges. Generally, after wrapping up, the fish will be put into the fridge for about half an hour to solidify the filling. Before frying, the fish needs to be powdered with cornstarch on both sides. Use the hand to shape the fish. Cook the fish via high heat. When the oil is boiling, use medium heat to cook until it is golden on both sides. Then drizzle with sauce and serve consumers. This traditional handmade dish represents the passions chefs have for Shunda and also represents the skill of chefs in Shunda. It shows that chefs have a high standard for food and cooking. This typical hometown dish has captured the attention of people from many places. They get to know Shunda of Foshan City by learning the recipe and tasting the food. There are many flavors in the thickened sauce. The strong savory smell outlines the fresh and sweet taste of fish. Shunda abounds with dace. Dace has many bones, but its meat is delicate and is rich in protein. People won't run into fishbone when having this dish. They can simply enjoy having a mouthful of fish. But the appearance of a whole fish confuses diners. Together with various ingredients, the dish tastes fresh and has several layers of texture, satisfying the demanding taste buds of fish lovers. The skills needed to prepare this dish are a point of pride for chefs here. Apart from cooking, Foshan is also famous for its handicrafts. The Maritime Silk Road is also known as the Road of Ceramics and the Road of Spices. And Guangdong is the province with the longest history, the most ports, and the broadest routes on the Maritime Silk Road. It also has the greatest number of relics from these sailing routes. Ceramics, ironware, and silk in Foshan were the main exports on the ancient Maritime Silk Road. As an important member of the trade system, The sailing route is not the most outstanding character. Instead, it is the exquisite handicrafts.
The Namfeng ancient kiln was built during the Wanli period of the Ming Dynasty. Building began in 1506 and has now been around for more than 500 years. The Namfeng ancient kiln was mainly used to produce ceramics, mainly ceramic cups and pots with Xinhuang characteristics. We call them the 3 pots in 1 bowl. Besides, the early building ceramics in Sichuan, including tiles, tile ridges, and floor tiles, were all made in long kilns, just like the Namfeng ancient kiln.
Every piece of handmade ceramic is a unique artwork. Like cooking, ceramics carried the good wishes of the ceramic craftsman. Ceramics did not have an ornamental value at first. They were more like daily use items. People in Foshan are self-sufficient. They infuse the way of cooking into every piece of ceramic. By doing so, the look and flavor of the dishes were influenced. Chinese ceramics have a history of tens of thousands of years, and ceramics in the Sichuan region are known to be one of the pinnacles of China's ceramic industry. For hundreds of years, Foshan ceramics have been transported to Southeast Asia and countries in Europe and Latin America. According to the ancient records, Sichuan ceramics were popular in Guangdong, Guangxi, and other regions overseas. They said that pots and tiles from Sichuan are the best in the world. These show the importance of Sichuan ceramics in the history of the Maritime Silk Road in China.
The heyday of Xinhuan long kiln was during the Ming and Qing dynasties. At that time, there were 107 kilns on 99 hills in the Xinhuan region. On large and small hills back then, the ceramics produced for daily usage were sold overseas. Some were even sold in Southeast Asia, through Dongping River and the Pearl River estuary. Except for products sold overseas, the ceramic production techniques and products in Xinhuang had been exported during the Qing dynasty and the Republic of the China period. Records even say that some ceramic producers would go to Vietnam with their boss and build ceramic factories there. It can be surmised from this research that the development of ceramics in Vietnam has benefited a lot from the ceramic techniques in Xinhuang. It was actually our people who brought our techniques to Vietnam.
Starting from bowls, plates, and tiles, Sichuan ceramics in Foshan meet both people's daily needs and spiritual needs. The nature of civilian kilns was free in production and marketing and became the source of vitality of Sichuan ceramics. The utensils in Foshan food are also closely related. A specific dish can only be perfect when it is cooked and served with specific utensils. The bowl mentioned in 3 pots and 1 bowl is used to make the following dish. There is abundant rainfall in the 3rd and 4th month on the lunar calendar. The wet season is just the right time for this kind of food. Some people have come specifically for this food, waiting for the food beside the field. This is a kind of annelid, the standing grain worm.
Nowadays, there are less standing grain worm. The Pearl River Delta and the area of Canton are the places with the most grain worms. You can hardly find them in other regions.
The standing grain worm is a famous traditional dish in Guangdong. It is regarded as a delicacy in local families. The traditional method is relatively difficult. The chef needs to clean the standing grain worms with a thread, which keeps them from bursting and dying before they are cooked. Then they are boiled in water. Generally, standing grain worms grow at the junction of salt and fresh water. They will only come up from the mud during reproduction. Grain worms are rich in protein. However, due to excessive use of pesticides and worsening water quality, grain worm numbers have greatly diminished and become more and more precious. After boiling, we can add eggs. There are various ingredients to the standing grain worm, and it can be said to be a feast in itself. All sorts of ingredients bring different flavors to the sweet and smooth egg. The chef will put shredded dried orange peel into the egg first, and then put in the most important ingredient, a great number of standing grain worms. Later, other ingredients will also be added into the egg mixture. Local people say it's extremely delicious. The tile bowl is another important part of this dish. Only this type of bowl can char the skin so that the texture is crispy on the outside but soft on the inside.
The standing grain worm dish has been around since the bowl was first created. We use what we call the tile bowl in the past. It's mainly used by children these days, and the standing grainworm dish is passed down from generation to generation. So we simply keep doing it the traditional way. We process the standing grainworms according to the traditional method. We'll put the best dried orange peel and Chinese vermicelli, as well as pork fat, that is, Chinese bacon, and we steam it after adding the standing grainworms. After steaming it, we'll boil it. This is the traditional method. Finally, we'll sprinkle some pepper on top. Before serving, shredded lemon will also be added. This is a must in Shunda cuisine.
This kind of traditional village food employs the wisdom of ancient ceramic techniques. The strong, savory smell is thanks to the tile bowl. Just one bite of the protein-rich food, the wonderful flavor spreads among the taste buds. Fresh and delicious, the flavor is retained in the mouth.